Hello again, every pony. This is Nightlife here, and I'm going to do something that I should have done a long, long time ago. The next part of Follow the Equestria Project Horizons. I still can't say that. Look, I know I said I'd get this done the next day, or later that day, or whatever. Excuses. Hope you can forgive me. Oh, this is Chapter 20, Mercy by Dawn Fade, Part 2. It's gonna be a doozy, y'all. I sat alone on a mountain. It shifted and rumbled beneath me, but I could almost reach the clouds. If I could reach them, I could tear them aside and see the stars again. Don't look down, rasped an old voice with a chuckle. Care for a game? Draw poker? Hearts? Go fish? Very funny, I muttered. I try. We have that in common. I stretched and strained to reach the clouds. Go away. Just a little bit farther. Hey, you're the one dreaming. You wake up, he said with that purring of his cards. Purring of his cards. So what are you trying to do? Get to the stars, I replied. If I can reach them, maybe they can help me. Sakashi told you they were dangerous. Only to selfish ponies who tried to use them to become super powerful and stuff. I said as I started to push the clouds aside. I'm going to use them to help. I wobbled as the rock beneath me shifted a little, but I kept my eyes upward. Nothing bad is going to happen. Or going to come of that, sorry. I'm very sorry, but it's been a long time, and I remember trembling as I read this fic, and I'm still trembling as I read this fic. I guess I'm just overwhelmed by it. Its sheer power. Oh well. Little OCR, alright, let's go. So thought Fluttershy, he rasped. But you saw what came of trying to force a better pony. Well, making the waste one happy then. And that's Pinkie Pie's thinking. You're just going from bad to worse now, he said as he shuffled the cards beneath me. Come on down from there, Blackjack, before you hurt some pony. I can't. I've got to help, I said as I finally pushed the clouds aside. I could see the twinkling lights. Help who? The dealer asked from below me. Why? Because I'm going to turn into a monster if I don't, I said as I reached up and pinched a star between my hooves. It glowed like a memory orb, but hot and terrible. Oh? Then what are you now? The dealer asked. I looked down to tell him to shut the fuck up, and I stood on P-21's corpse. And Glory. And Rampage. Lacune. Bottlecap and Caprice lay further down the slope of corpses. Roses embraced the crushed body of her foe. Dozens of crusaders lay still in their tattered cloaks, the filly patches fluttering softly in the breeze. Hundreds of ponies in stable 99 barding. Thousands of ponies dressed as raiders. Enclave Pegasi littered the slope like broken birds. At the edge of my sight loomed the blasted corpse of Deus, the pulped remains of Gorgon, and the smoldering body of Blue Blood. And past them, the bodies continued further and further till they blended with the horizon. Told you not to look down, the dealer said, seeing on Rampage's face. Hold on. I know this is a dream, but Rampage still shouldn't die. She can't. It's physiologically impossible for her to die. Isn't it? The mass then shifted and the slope collapsed beneath me. I fell through the darkness. My friends' bodies burying me in a crush of limbs, the star coolly looking on between my hooves. Wait. Did it grow eyes? Because that'd be some Silent Hill crap right there, and I have not read Silent Ponyville. Although I might. What's that smell? Oh. I jerked awake, knocking the box of Vanity's memory orbs across the sheets and sending them rolling across the wooden floor. I looked around. The images of stars no longer quite so comforting. I sat up in bed, curling and pressing my head between my rear knees. Put your head between your knees and kiss your bum goodbye. If anyone can tell me what reference that is to, you get a cookie. I'll give you a hint. It's claymated. I think it is, at least. One must have rolled under the bed, and I huffed softly as I lay down on my stomach and peeked under for the orb. Wait, orbs? 2 memory orbs gleamed at me from under the bed. Wait, were they breeding now? Because that would be awesome. Very carefully, I pulled the pair out. One was quite dusty. I put Vanity's orb back in the case, looking at the newcomers, marigolds. I touched it to my horn. Please, 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 I begged, trying to make my horn work. A flicker, and world faded away. Whoosh. I need to get a soundbite for that. The unicorn mare fit me like a sock. Did not want to think about that. Even her glasses felt like my glasses. Her headache matched my own. All she needed was a runny nose and a scratchy throat, and we'd be interchangeable. I also knew this building. This was the Fluttershy Medical Center, and I even knew this hallway, even though it wasn't half lit and painted with a blood-lettered play. She stepped into Redheart's office. At once I noticed the stacked up papers and files seemed even higher than when I'd visited. The tired mare behind the desk pushed her glasses back and gave the afraid smile to my host. Gave at? Thank you for coming, Marigold. I know this is terribly short notice. Well, you made it sound like it was life or death, Marigold said in a soft and thoughtful voice, edged with some tension. Why else ask me to come out here in the middle of the night? Redheart trotted around from behind the desk and put a hoof on Marigold's shoulder. I know this has been a difficult time for you. Difficult? Marigold said in a soft, taut voice. Spending 3 years of my life on a dream I've had for as long as I can remember, only to get pulled for a medical review 2 weeks before launch? Yeah, I suppose that counts as difficult. Well, it's been challenging for all of us, with the assassination attempt. Big Macintosh's funeral last week and all, but let me try it again. It's been challenging for all of us, with the assassination attempt, Big Macintosh's funeral last week, and all. Well, yes, difficult. Redheart then pushed a file towards Marigold, and she glanced down. Marigold, PH medical authorized, denied. Medical authorization, denied. And then atop it, medical waiver, approved. Her eyes went over those stamps once, and then twice. So I'm glad to make things a little less difficult for you. Why? Marigold asked in shock. Because we reviewed the test results for your heart and found them less severe than we anticipated, and because Fluttershy knows what it's like to have a dream, and because we need your help. Marigold frowned as she walked to Dear Luna. I'm sorry, I had a bit of a minor conspiratorial revelation. I'll share it once at the whoosh. Because we've revised. Already done that part. Marigold frowned as she walked to a cushion and took a seat across from the elderly mare. Redheart gave a small smile. Fluttershy has a dire medical emergency involving a pregnant mare. Without your help, she may lose the foal. My help? But how can I help? I'm an astronaut. I'm an astropony and an astronaut. I don't know anything about medicine. Fluttershy wishes to perform a procedure that will transfer the foal from the patient to you, making you a surrogate mother. Marigold's ears stood almost upright at this. You want me to what? To have a baby? Yes, Redheart replied calmly. After she'd been transferred to a MOP full services afterwards she'd be transferred to a MOP full services caregiver. You won't be expected to raise her. As Marigold balked, Redheart continued. I know this is hard. Normally we wouldn't even attempt a surrogacy spell without far more preparation and counseling. But when we reviewed your files, we found you to be an ideal candidate, and time is critical. Marigold looked at the file and then at Redheart. And does this waiver disappear if I say no? And from her tone, I knew she'd walk if it did, even if it cost her her dream. No, Marigold, that was Fluttershy's and my final opinion. You don't have to do this. But from the look on the pale pony's face, in the pale pony's eyes, it was clear that she was desperate for Marigold to agree. But we hope you will. Marigold reached up, rubbing her temples with her hooves. It's going, ugh. Don't you realize it's going to be pretty funny if I all of a sudden look pregnant? The foal is currently the size of a chicken egg. It'll be months before you start the show. Not to mention suspicious that I was turned down and then got a waiver. Some pony's going to raise a red flag. She said as she chewed on a hoof nervously. It might, maybe, follow up the mission. Well then, you should say no, Redheart replied in a no-nonsense tone. I know you're willing to face terrible risks, but this is no less a risk. No buts. This is no less a risk, perhaps even more dangerous than going to the moon. But I can tell you that the mother needs this. Fluttershy needs this. Fluttershy needs this, or Fluttershy needs it. And I think a great many ponies will need it too, even if they never realize it. This is your chance to save one pony. I'd do it, but then I'm an idiot. Marigold sighed as she looked at Redheart. I almost wish you'd blackmailed me. It'd be easier, she said as she closed her eyes. All right, she finally agreed. What came next were a number of papers signed in a flurry. Clearly, she wasn't reading them all. She just signed on the X's. The two unicorns gave her a number of injections, but I was relieved that none of them seemed to involve the horrible rainbow-colored sludge I had seen with Gorgon's memory. Now definitely woozy, she was led into a room decorated like a forest. There were actually living branches coming out of the walls. I wondered what kind of spell did that. A veil of leaves separated one half of the room from the other. On the far side of that barrier, a mare sobbed inconsolably. Shh. It'll be all right, Fluttershy said calmly over and over again. The mare spoke in a voice thick with grief. You must think I'm terrible. I am terrible, Fluttershy. She stammered around the tears. No, I don't think that anymore. I think you're sad and hurting, and if I can help, I will. A blue eye peeked through the fall of leaves. Oh, the doctor's here. Are you absolutely sure? Fluttershy said, and there was another sob. Okay then, just a little shot, and we'll get started. The mare's thick voice was said softly. Fluttershy, can you take it all away, please? I can't. There's so much. A soft sigh. Of course. You keep my secret, I'll keep yours. Be kind. Then, a few minutes later, Fluttershy stepped through, gave Marigold one teary look, threw her forelegs around her, and hugged. Oh, too far. And hugged her with a teary sniff. Thank you so much. Marigold relaxed and put her forelegs around Fluttershy, returning the gesture. She doesn't know, does she? Marigold said softly. Fluttershy shook her head. She couldn't bear it if she did. And she has so much to do. So very much that she was willing to give up her baby. She looked back at the leaves. If the public found out, she'd be finished. If they found out about this, she'd be equally finished. Damn you, 50s era mindset. But who? Marigold started to say before she shook her head. I guess it's better if I don't know. Fluttershy gave a sad smile and nodded. Hopefully, when the war is over, she'll be strong enough to remember and meet her again. And she'll have the opportunity, thanks to you. Fluttershy took her hooves. I know a lot of ponies look up to you for going into space and all, but this makes you my hero. I don't know about Marigold, but I felt damn good about that. Okay, real quick, my conspiracy theory is that while on the moon, Marigold put something there that has to do with Project Horizons. Tinfoil hat time. No, this isn't Celestial Radio after all. We have standards. Oh, wait, I obliterated them with this story and 16.5. When I opened my eyes, I stared up at the ceiling. That was nothing new. Every single time I went into an orb, I felt like Blackjack was getting a little more scrambled up with other ponies. Was I learning, maturing, or was I actually doing some kind of inherent harm to myself with these memories? Had Marigold selflessly become a surrogate, or had she feared that Fluttershy and Redheart would RESCIND resigned her waiver? Resigned. Post in a comment using the phonetic alphabet. How that is pronounced, if you know how. Please, you will save me a lot of grief. And what of the mare that was behind the veil? Who was she? Was she wrong to have wanted to end her pregnancy, not knowing that Fluttershy had an alternative? Who had she been? Important, obviously. A ministry mare? There was a scandalous thought. Or even one of the princesses. Or maybe I was thinking too grandiose that she'd been a mare that Fluttershy wanted to help. Which would have been every mare in the world. Including Zebra. Yeah. I pulled my pillow over my face. Ugh, why can't anything be black and white? I shouted at it. Everything had to be so tangled. I sighed, then pulled the pillow away, looking at the moon overhead. Marigold had gotten her dream, but the scandal had destroyed her. Oop. The nameless mare had suffered terribly, but did that make it right? Why am I the pony that gets stuck thinking about this? Because you care, Lacuna had said, but softly beside me. I jumped so hard I fell out of my bed in a tangle of sheets. The alicorn cocked her head as she looked at me lying on the floor. Are you alright? What? Don't do that, I panted, feeling my heart thud, sorry. I've had bad experiences coming out of memory orbs. Which was probably why I had gotten into so much trouble, getting in, which is probably why I had so much trouble getting into them. Ugh, you and me both, sister. Forgive me, she said politely. I hope it was a pleasant memory. It was complicated. Slowly, I rose to my hooves. What are you doing? Waiting. Glory is attempting to cook. Her cooking is not going well, so I thought it best to check on you and get away from the smell, she said as she looked at the memory orb. So, is it worthwhile? More questions, I whined, but I looked at the orb. What do you mean? We live within our memories, and the memories of each other. The goddess directs, and we act. But within her we flow through from dream to dream and thought to thought. I can no longer remember which are my own, and which are the dreams of the goddess. I wondered if that was why I was having so much trouble entering the memory orbs. Was I afraid? Was I becoming afraid of changing? Do you, or the goddess, know anything about magic? Lakune actually smiled broadly, and her answer was in her smile. Okay, dumb question, I guess. But I'm wondering about something Sakashi told me about a zebra who put his soul in a rock. Oh, excuse me. Is that possible? I always thought that a soul was, well, you. It is, but there is dark and cold magic that can do such things. Wrong inflections. What you describe is a soul jar, Lakune said in her distant voice. But I don't understand. How does something like that work? You're not a smart pony. Don't ask that question. Fancy mathematics. What stallion? I walked to the door, opened it, and was greeted by the reek of burnt apples smothered in melted rubber. Gagging, I closed the door and rested my back against it. Okay, there was gross, and then there was that. Lakune seemed to be listening to something. Her goddess, I assumed. Imagine if you were to take a gun, something special and inherent to you, and then place within it a piece of your soul. The gun would retain the resilience of your soul. Perhaps it would never jam or rust. It might always be oiled. Perhaps even more accurate than identical firearms. In extraordinary circumstances, perhaps it might fire an extra bullet or two before needing reloading. To you, it would simply be a weapon, but to anyone else, it would be a weapon. It would be a weapon beyond any of its kind. So what's the catch? Because that sounds way too good to be true, I said as I looked up at her, rubbing my runny nose with a hoof. The catch is that, as long as your soul is here, you can never pass into the ever after. And there was a price paid for rending something eternal. Souls do not heal, and it would take an exceptional pony to rend their soul thus, and not suffer horrifically for it. Rarity. I closed my eyes, trying to get my brain to work right. What had Priest said earlier about her healing like... What if you had, I don't know, a healing talisman? A really powerful healing talisman. Like the kind that had stuffed my guts back into me in the clinic. And you had made it a soul jar. Could it keep you alive forever, even if you were vaporized? Lakune looked intrigued. Perhaps. I think we just figured out what keeps Rampage alive. Now to find out how to destroy it. I imagined the pink egg I'd seen earlier. This is the one I'd seen back in Fluttershy's clinic. No. Just like the one I'd seen back in Fluttershy's clinic. But with a tiny, ghostly Rampage stuffed inside. Indestructible. Powered by the soul trapped within. Remaking Rampage again and again. It didn't explain what she'd done, or any of her other abilities, or Glory's theory that it wasn't simple madness. But it did explain how she could get turned to ash and still reform. Me think he ate more than one soul. Is there any way to free a soul from a soul jar? Open the lid and turn it over? Smash it? No. No. Ah. Her lips curled in a slight smile. For that, you'd need a very special book. Don't suppose you'd know where? Canterlot, perhaps? In the Ministry of Image. Something was off. Years of poker had taught me that the little tells that that something was awry. The hint of a smile, the tone, everything. We've been searching for one for a very long time. Canterlot? I huffed. May as well be in the core. It may, she replied softly. We know of one book for certain, but there may be others. A copy was seized by the OIA, but whether it was turned over to the Ministry of Image is unknown, or is not unknown. Or bleh, whether it was turned to the Ministry of Image or not is unknown. Then her eyes looked at my pit book, her smile widening. But perhaps you possess a means of obtaining it from the OIA hub, yes? I gave a snotty, narrowing. I gave a snotty sniff, narrowing my eyes slightly. Maybe it was due to Caprice's games, but I just wanted to know for sure who was pushing my buttons. Funny, what kind of goddess wouldn't know? We do not need to divulge every... I smiled. Gotcha, I said with a little smirk. Goddess, right? Mind letting like Akune back? We are the infinite and all-knowing goddess. We do not. But the goddess was now hissing her words in pain. Nothing can. We... Ah! She clenched her head and trembled. This is unbearable. How does she tolerate it? Right. Lacune okay. Goddess not okay. You okay? I'm sorry. That's some reason that's just funny. I'm sure that somewhere P21 was grinding his teeth. Suddenly, she swayed and collapsed onto the bed. That is most disagreeable, Lacune said softly. So, I guess that the goddess doesn't like Hoofington. Hoofington screams in my dreams. I have become used to it, but I fear the goddess has not. Suddenly her eyes widened. And I fear she is very put out by your irreverence. Yeah? Insecure gods don't impress me. I said as pulled out Cupcake's memory orb. I've seen Luna and Celestia. They didn't act all-knowing. There was a hell of a lot that they didn't know. I don't have time to waste on a goddess that pretends to. Lacune closed her eyes for a long moment. Oh yes, very put out. Are all alicorns like that? Like you? I asked as I put the orb away. No, most are extensions. We exist within her, and within her we act to carry out her will. But we remain ourselves. We can dictate our actions as she wishes. I am an aberration. So you are a mutant alicorn? I asked with a little grin, but she smiled and nodded politely. I have been at Hoofington for many years. I am resistant to the screams of the city. Few alicorns can survive it for that long. In some places, it is physically damaging, she said with a little shudder. I wondered if she was referring to enervation, or if this was yet another horror of the wasteland, another horror of the wasteland that I just hadn't encountered yet. I'm pretty sure she wants me to find a book for her. It is magic she lacks, Lacune agreed. I paused, frowning in thought. Can it help Rampage? I do not know, Lacune said softly. We have only hints about its power. Right, I said, rubbing my muzzle. Well, good to know. I have something in my teeth. Shit. Be right back. And I'm back. I cut my finger on my own tooth. Blood tastes pretty good, though. Not all too sweet. I bet. That's a very dark thought. I bet Pinkie Pie's blood tastes like fruit punch, with a bit of iron and a lot of sugar. Oh, maybe pink lemonade. No. Then I sniffed and rubbed, and then I sniffed as the rubbery smell increased. There was a knock a soft knock from the hall. I glanced at Lakune, then opened the door. I made breakfast, lunch? Brunch, Glory said, trotting in with the tray balanced between her wings. She turned and pressed something that looked like smashed apple bombs soaked in milk and wrapped in a fried egg, then burnt to crunchy sticks of carbon. I lifted one, wrinkled my nose, and took a bite. Somehow she managed to make it charred on the inside and gooey within. I had to improvise a lot with the ingredients. Oh, wait, I know what she did. She put it on high heat for too long. You need to put it on medium heat. I chewed thoughtfully for a few moments. Not bad. Is that vinegar? She smiled and nodded. Huh. Pretty good, actually. Gloria beamed. I probably just made her day as I slurped down the rest of the interior and then munched the crunchy shell. I levitated another at Lakune. Want one? The alicorn shot away as she asked politely, Blackjack, by any chance, are you part dragon? Damn, girl, you got an iron stomach. Foreshadowing. Okay, I'm going to take a quick break. I'll be back in 20 minutes, but for you, it'll be 5 seconds. And I'm back. By morning, I felt, if not better, at least decent. Between Priest's healing and Sakashi's tonics, I'd coughed up most of the sludge in my lungs, and my throat no longer sounded like a rusty tin can full of nails. You mean you sound like a ghoul? I had to do that, sorry. While I had to admit that the smell was off, Gloria's cooking wasn't really that bad. I thought that what she could do with the few ingredients rattling around in our packs was pretty creative. Rampage told me that if I suggested she try one, she would be aiming for me with her vomit this time. Oh, back in flank when she threw up all over P21. Sadly, I bet that's not the first time you've been thrown up by a female. Or the worst circumstances thereof. Replace. Excuse me. My breaks tend to go with some DP or other caffeinated, carbonated drink. The two aren't mutually exclusive. I would eat raw caffeine if I could. Damn it. Oh, there was. I took stock of my armament, laying each weapon over the bed before me. The Dragon's Claw for close-in work, then Cupcake's 44 Magnum revolver. After that, the 12-gauge pump-action shotgun, and finally, Taurus's rifle. The rest I traded, along with surplus ammo, for these. I'd kept Folly, of course. To be honest, I didn't know who'd buy a gun with impossibly rare ammo. While the IF-33 would be tempting, I barely had enough ammo for a clip, and the 12 millimeter gun had been trashed. With the exception of the incendiary bullets, I'd blown through most of the specialty ammo we picked up at Ironshod Firearms R&D. Research and development for the brain. I'd hoped we come across some more, especially the explosive rounds. Explosives. Why must you be so hard to scroll, Google Docs? There's no scroll button, just a little bar, and it's big docs like these. I moved down one pixel, and it goes down half a page. Huh. The Aegis. Please, someone give me the phonetic pronunciation of that. A security combat armor had pockets and holsters for most of these weapons. I had to admit, I felt better wiggling into my armor than I had in a while. While I missed my old security barding, the polymer and ceramic combat armor more than made up for it. Some spray paint, and I was just security. Again. Best of all, Charity had used a stencil and some white paint to mark the rearing filly on my rump. I secured the weapons, clips, and the handful of healing potions I'd acquired and made my way downstairs. So she's an honorary crusader. You joined a faction, Crusaders. Yay! Blackjack Crusader, yeah! Because caps lock. Wow, Glory muttered, her eyes lighting up at the sight of me. No helmet? B-21 asked with a little frown. It cuts off my vision and hearing too much, and it's uncomfortable as hell. Holy shit, that's uncomfortable. I don't believe in hell. Only the dark side of the moon. If you would like to know more about my own personal religion, ask me. Damn it. I said as I saw that Rampage was now charity aged. Apparently, while Glory's own cuisine was too much for my friends, Rampage had gone out of her way to get every remotely edible bit of meat in our packs cooked up. Growing up, even with the assistance of a healing talisman, clearly used up the calories and the protein. And I really preferred my sugar apple bombs. Why can I not speak in proper mannerisms? I'm so lonely. Glory had assisted with some mixture of nausea, fascination, and disappointment that she wasn't allowed to indulge in any culinary experimentation. But I love culinary experimentation. It usually ends up tasty because I know how to use seasonings. I'm sorry, I forgot to pause it to take a sip and to breathe. I forget to do that sometimes. It's so embarrassing. He just. What? All right. He just looked at me like I was doing something stupid again. What? What? Asked Levelly. Nothing. It's great armor, she said before going back to his carrot crisps, adding, in a mutter just loud enough for everybody to hear, boom, headshot. Boom, headshot, yeah! Kill streak, airstrike, yeah! Yeah! Steroid pony. Yeah, like he had room to talk. He still wasn't using any barding, period. Still, Maybe I should reconsider the headgear. I looked at Lunake, or Lacune. What about you? Do you need armor? Black mourner's lace hardly seemed like an adequate protection to me. She looked at me, or rather, at my horn. I'll be fine. Are you sure? I mean, P21 likes to be all sneaky, but you're a little too big for sneaking. I'm good, thank you, she answered. Okay, just saying. I'm pretty sure Celestia and Luna weren't bulletproof, so no harm in wearing some. Blackjack, I don't need armor. I have magic, she said with a small smile of irritation. How do you smile in irritation? And for that matter, why do men have nipples? Oh, I know. It's because we're using the same basic template as females. Because everyone is female by the time nipples are made, for lack of a better word, in the womb. And then when the chemicals hit him, your innie becomes an outie. One moment. Ow. Ew. Ugh, freaking cockroaches. As a pleasant surprise, wait, nope, not quite. Right, of course you do, because you're part unicorn. You do magic. Excuse me, I said as I stalked out to the kitchen. I stalked over. I said as I stalked over to the kitchen, muttering sourly under my breath about bighorn alicorns and their magic. I could sing while blasting away ghouls. Could she do that? Once everything was set, I gave the house a parting look and locked the front door, feeling slightly less secure in the knowledge that any pony with some skill and a bobby pin could open it. Oh well, not much I could do about it now. No. Excuse me. DP gives me the wimpiest burps, although Pepsi gives me big manly burps. I don't know why. As a pleasant surprise, Gloria's food didn't taste much different on the trip back out into a paper bag than Dizzy kept in her wagon for just such occasions. I found 2 boxes in the back, wedged myself between them, and did everything I could to avoid screaming, crying, wetting myself, or taking my mind off my striped friend. Philly Rampage looked oddly like Silverbell's striped sister, and as the two sat in the back, I kept my magic grip on the revolver. If I saw a skull appear on her butt, I was going straight into Sats. Glory and Lacune flew at our flanks. Ditzy had stared at the alicorn with some nervousness, but of course she hadn't said anything. I had to admit, the sight of the lace-shaped alicorn was decidedly surreal. Then again, I was traveling with a pony with a soul thingy lodged within her, and a hallucination that liked cards, on my way to liberate my stable. Reality was now more subjective. Then P21 peeked out of the back of with a small frown. Why didn't he freak out at this guy? Okay. This is getting too long. Next break, I'm gonna cut this one. This is gonna be my 3-parter. Oh, I'm sorry. I grunted in reply. What is that? He asked as he peered through his binoculars. I carefully moved to the back, careful to avoid looking at the clouds above and the ground way, way below. What is what? I asked, and then frowned and spotted a black speck behind us. What is that? I asked. I lifted Taurus's rifle and sighted through the scope. At first, I thought it was the Enclave, Maybe dusk was coming to finish off Glory. But there was something off about how it moved, and I couldn't see any mounted weapons. Its wings were as big as Lacune's, and it was getting on us fast. Really fast. Behind us! I shouted as the creature rolled faster than I could follow with the scope. Ditsy, get us on the ground! I yelled as it swept over us. I think I know what it is. Coward for the manticore. Hate Seed, go check them out. The old shit is H8_seed. Shameless plug. I yelled as it swept over us. I heard the buzz of Glory's beam rifle weapons crackle as she shot at it. My stomach rose in my throat as every terrifying nightmare I had about falling rose in my chest. Ditsy was getting us on the ground by the fastest means possible. Straight down! As she dove, I saw the flash of beam guns and flickering of lights from our airborne friends. After that, I was just holding tight as half of Ditsy's wares battered P-21 and myself. Rampage laughed in delight, and even Silverbell appeared more thrilled and less scared by the drop. Just before we hit, Ditsy flattened out, flying over the rubble-strewn fields of Miramare. The wagon suddenly lurched to his side, and the wagon tipped over, and wagon cover ripped, 4 sets of brown claws tearing open the canopy. With a snarl, I released the wagon. It released the wagon, and Ditsy was able to pull up over the main building. Get ready to jump out! Get ready to die! Catch a ride! The wagon came to a stop as the 3 of us spilled out. I could have kissed the ground if we weren't facing some kind of clawed, winged, flying thing trying to kill us. It wasn't in sight, but I doubted that would last. Get the door open, quickly! I said as I nodded at the door to the locker room. We gotta get out of sight. I looked over at the ghoul Pegasus. Best get out of here. It'll be after us. Oh, how I hope that was true, and that this wasn't some ridiculously aggressive predator with a taste for ghoul flesh. Ew. Thanks, Ditsy. I owe you a new canopy. She grinned and shrugged, then winked a cloudy eye at me and took flirted with a ghoul. Sorry, but that made me think so very bad things. With sticky, mushy ponies. Oh. I made sure to fire a few rounds at anything that might be a bat-winged thing. To my relief, I didn't see anything go after the damaged wagon. Rampage looked at the duffel bag between my shoulders and held the her spike armor. I hate being little. How am I supposed to kick tail like this? She said as she gestured to herself. You'll find a way. I've no doubt about that, I assured her. Behind us, the door clicked open. Quick, inside! Sorry, reading ahead. If we were fighting something that flew, the lower the roof, the better. We disappeared inside just as the wing thing flashed over us. Whatever this thing was, it was fast. Really damn fast. I just closed the door when the oozing brown stinger plunged through at the heavy metal. Heavy metal! Ah! I shouted as it rolled back, blasting at the appendage. It jerked free with a metallic squeal, leaving a hoof-sized hole. A bright blue eye peeked through and then narrowed. Peekaboo! Peekaboo! A low, feminine voice growled. Peek at this! I muttered as I fired the rifle, but the eye jerked away with a laugh. Well, at least it's a happy monster. Great. So you won't be adopting it then? P-21 asked as he took out as he took a magic grenade out of his ass, apparently, and carefully positioned it at the base of the door so that anything opening it would flick off the stem. Would flick the stem off the weapon. We quickly moved further into the locker rooms. It wasn't trying to come in through the doors. Maybe it was maybe it was going to enter through the second floor to flush us out. Well, you never know. It could have some horribly tragic sob story. And as I said, as I said as I rushed to the Marauders' lockers, actually, given my track record with these kind of things, it was probably likely. I selected Doof's locker and typed "Mama." There were stacks of papers, a memory orb. Of course, there was a memory orb, and some large boxes of ammo. In the back was a gun. It was a short tube about 2 feet long. It was a mouth grip stock. Really, it resembled the biggest single shot gun I'd ever seen. A heart was carved in the stock with the words "Twist plus Doof," and someone had painted "Persuasion" on the barrel. Oh, love that gun. This is the good day for P21. No time for reading, and certainly no time for a memory orb. I dumped them into my bag and then turned the gun over. It surely wasn't something I'd seen in the Ironshod firearms catalog. What the heck is this? I asked with a frown. It's sure no Iron Pony. It sure ain't no Iron Pony either. It's rad. What's what? B-21 asked, and I showed him. Oh, it's a grenade rifle. Great, enjoy. I asked as I pushed the tube into his hooves. Is that? No, don't do this to me. Too far. His eyes went wide, or went round. Blackjack, it's a gun. It's a grenade gun, I countered. You do grenades, so logically you should be fine with it. His eyes went even rounder. There's nothing logical about that. I sighed and slid him the ammo. Look, I trust you. Trust yourself and ante up. This isn't a gun you point and shoot, right? He frowned and worry but nodded. Gotta figure out angles and delays and stuff? He nodded again, and I tapped his forehead. Then it's right up your alley, egghead. He sure didn't look happy about it, but he took the weapon and the grenades and slipped them into his saddlebags. You know what? Never mind. And if I was wrong, he would be feeling shoot blackjacky. At least, if I was wrong and he was feeling shoot blackjacky, at least it'd be quick. Now there was the question of how we would connect with Glory and Lacune. Unless Miss Bighorn had a magical location spell, I wouldn't put it past her if she did. And I wouldn't put it past her if she did. We'd have to go out, or they'd have to come in. If I were the flyer, I wouldn't want to be stuck inside. So I guess she was somewhere on the roof waiting for us to come out the second story. We can get out through the crater, I muttered, but we need to tell Glory so they don't come in and have us chasing each other in circles. I've done that. Not good. Huh. Sorry. I spaced out for a second. Don't know why. He frowned, then dug his bag and scribbled a word on a piece of garbage. Rads. Hook it to the hole in the door and let's go. He said as he carefully unhinged the gun and slid a grenade into it. I did as he asked. Unless the monster was standing right outside, the pair would see it and when they checked the door. Why rads? Rampage asked. It's the official term for measuring the intensity of magical radiation, he explained, as he looked back at us. So unless the monster has cracked open a copy of Equestria Scientifica, or a big book of arcane science, I swept them up in my hooves and gave him a hug. Let go! I got a grenade! A whole lot of grenades! Blackjack! Let go! I got a grenade! A whole lot of grenades! Blackjack! I got a smart pony, I said to Rampage with a grin. And as much fun as I'm having, this is where I end it. For now, at least. This has gone on for nearly an hour, and it's gonna be a bitch to freaking get this thing rendered out and all that. So, yeah. This has been Nightlife giving you part 2 of Chapter 20, Mercy, of Fallen Equestria Project Horizons. Hey, I said it. By Somber. Not King Somber, just Somber. Although if he does ever become a king, I'm going to shoot him on sight. I wonder if Somber's going to get a cameo in this story or not. Oh, Nightlife? Out.